We're now going to talk about quality and look at the evolving views on quality within the business environment. And originally, we were looking at quality as a statistical control. And it's basically we can predict what's going on and observe what's going to happen and then use that to what the probability in the future is going to be. And in fact, as W.A. Shewhart stated in 1931 when he wrote The Economic Control of a Manufactured Product, a phenomenon will be said to be controlled when, through the use of past experience, we can predict, at least within limits, how the phenomenon may be expected to vary in the future and the probability that the observed phenomenon will fall within given limits. And actually, a lot of production quality control planning and stuff, you're going to see that there was a big spike in this between the First and Second World War, and it really drove what was going on within a manufactured environment. And so after the Second World War, we started looking at quality assurance. And so, as it's been stated in Total Quality Control 1956, the underlying principle of this total quality view is that to provide genuine effectiveness, control must start with the design of the product and end only when the product has been placed in the hands of a customer who remains satisfied. The first principle is to recognize that quality is everyone's job. And now that view is shifted again into more of what we call strategic quality management. So David Garvin, in Managed Quality, which came out in 1988, said a new vision has begun to emerge. It embodies a dramatic shift in perspective. For the first time, top managers have linked quality with profitability, defined it from the customer's point of view, and required its inclusion in the strategic planning process. Many have insisted that quality be viewed as an aggressive competitive weapon. And if you think about it, there are companies that actually, that is the main push of their marketing campaign, is you want to buy our product because it's going to be quality. Especially if it's a more expensive product, a sea of products manufactured in other places that are not seen as quality but is seen as really cheap, there's an allure to saying this is our product, it's worth the money because it is a quality product. In fact, the subheader on my first slide where it said quality, it said it is job one. That used to be, and this is why it's a bad commercial because I can't remember what company it's from. I think it might have been Chevy, and that was the tagline of all their commercials was quality, it's job one. So how do we define quality? And well, we can look at a couple different ways. The American Society of Quality, ASQ, says that the totality of its features and characteristics of a product or service that bears on its ability to satisfy the stated or implied needs. Now, I just want to bring up right now that the American Society of Quality is like the gold standard whenever we're talking about any of this stuff when we're dealing with quality. In fact, we will, in this class today, and I think a little bit later, we will talk about an idea called Six Sigma, which is an entire thing that's built around eliminating errors. In the industry, holding a Six Sigma certification from the American Society of Quality that's the best you can do. That is the gold standard. So our textbook will define quality as the ability of a product or service to meet customer demand. So basically, what is quality? So once again, we'll go back to David Garvin. And so in 1987, he developed the 8 dimensions of quality. And the first 3 talk really about the product itself. Performance, does its primary operating characteristics fulfilled? Features, it's all the bells and whistles of a product. And reliability, the probability of it not failing. And so then we move on and we start looking at those first ones are kind of what draw you to the product, and now you've got this other stuff that you want around the product. Conformance, so it meets those standards. Durability, because it's going to last a long time. Serviceability, you're able to get the support you need, and it's fast. The people are nice, they're competent, can be easily prepared. Move into a little bit more of the esoteric sections of quality, and that's the aesthetics. Is it pleasing to the senses? This is kind of a subjective one because it's different for different people, but also perceived quality. So how well your advertising department gets somebody to think, to get out there that your product is quality. It's got a good reputation because you put out a bajillion widgets and you haven't had a problem. And its price has something to do with quality too. Now this one is that it's not too cheap. As you've probably learned in your marketing classes, there is a correlation between price and perceived quality. You can have the absolute best rock solid made product, but if you price it too cheaply, they're going to think that it's cheap and not quality. So that does have a section, a flow through into the entire idea. And so there's an additional dimension that we talk about now, is safety. And so especially, once again, as these things evolve, safety is becoming a more and more important thing. And then if a product is not safe to operate, it really impacts its reputation of its quality. So we do have some cost associated with quality, and this is kind of a lot of the stuff that we'll look at. You have preventative costs, and this really is the stuff that comes up front in the process or product design, training your suppliers, training your vendors, so they're able to communicate what is needed, what needs to be done, how to use it. You have your appraisal costs. You have your appraisal costs, quality audits, statistical quality control, and that's where some of that Six Sigma comes in, doing inspections to make sure that things are up to the measure that you've set. You have internal failures. You're going to lose some yield when putting together. You're going to spend some money reworking some changes. You're going to scrap some of them because they're just not good. And then we have our external cost of failure. So internal is what costs that we come up with when it's within the company. External is after it's left our hands and gone to the customer. Returns, because we have to fix them or we take the loss on losing them, having to repair broken stuff. The worst thing is if someone gets a bad product and like, that's it, I'm never buying a Ford again, I'm never buying a Chevy again because I've had problems with it. And then warranties. You know, with my, just recently with my Jeep, my radio's been glitchy, so they had to pay to replace that. So these are all costs and things that we can measure. And the thing is these costs kind of escalate the farther away that we are from the initial point when the product or service is designed. And so we look at quality cost as it escalates downstream. Now this is from the HP Computer System Division. You probably don't know, but Hewlett-Packard used to make PCs. I don't even think they're a company anymore. I could be wrong on that. I had an HP at one point when I was in college. And as you can see, we start all the way, the supplier inspection costs, all the way in the beginning. Estimated cost per defect is 0.3 cents. And you'll notice every one, as we go down, it goes up by an order of magnitude. So if we go down here and, you know, we miss it in the inspection, we miss it on this is on the supplier end, so the people sending us our stuff. We miss it in inspection, and we finally catch it in fabrication. That defect now costs us 30 cents. If we get it all the way out to where it's been delivered, that defect, that if we would have caught when the products were coming into, the components were coming into our factory, would have cost us 0.3 cents to fix. After we send out the final product, it's $300 to fix. What's important about this? The earlier that we catch a defect, the more money that we're going to be able to save. So, is there evidence that quality matters? We look at quality and a price, lack of consistent association. So if we look at that, quality defined as conformance/reliability and cost are negatively correlated. What's that mean? The more quality it is, it's going to end up costing more. I misspoke there. Let's put this a little bit differently. So quality and costs are negatively correlated. when we're talking about cost, we're talking about the total quality cost, not the cost of the product. I'm misreading my own slides. So as your quality goes up, the amount of money that you're having to spend on those quality costs will end up going down. Because remember, we're not just talking about all the stuff that we're doing internally inside the company, but we have to worry about those returns, those lost businesses, and everything. So quality and total factor productivity are positively correlated, as you know, we're getting more productivity out of things when we have the higher level of quality. So basically, quality and profitability are positively associated. So bottom line, and my slide didn't change, my bottom line is quality is going to matter. Now, quality is a balancing act, because this is something that, especially as engineers, we look at something because every managers always I want it as fast as possible, as good as possible, as cheap as possible. And that doesn't happen. You can't have all three. And so it's basically always pick two. If you want it fast and high quality, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it cheap and high quality, it's not going to be fast. And if you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. And so in the next slide, we'll actually talk a little bit about total quality management.